So I just gotta trust in the feeling good and be in the feeling.
And moment by moment, practicing it there. In other words, finding yourself in the moment and not giving in to in other words, let's say something happens which takes you out of the vortex, and the tendency is to think, well, that should be different because I deserve to be in the vortex. That should be different. And then acknowledging, no, that's not what I'm practicing here. You don't have to be different for me to feel different. I'm going to choose to see you in a way that I can be in the vortex. Or I'm going to use the power of my focus to withdraw my attention from you altogether. In other words, there are a lot of things in any moment in time. You can focus upon a person's positive aspects or their negative aspects, and it's the same person. You can focus upon something that smells bad in the moment or something that looks good in the moment, and it's the same moment. There are so many options in any moment. And as you decide that you're going to fixate on what aligns you, and one of the reasons that we say this is a step one moment is because we think that's a pretty powerful thing to fixate on that would put you right in the vortex. In other words, oh, I'm having a step one moment. Good for me. I've launched more stuff into my vortex. Wonder what it is. Oh, there it is. Pretty easy. So if you want to, give us a poignant example of something that might happen that in the moment you don't want it to be, and we'll show you how we would deal with it if we were standing in your physical shoes.
Okay. I just think about which example.
The one that comes up the most often.
So the one that comes up most often is that I really, 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 really want to be in the vortex every time, because it's...
All right, so what's an example of a moment when you aren't? What takes you out? What thing in life, what thought in life, what person in life is most often present when you are aware that you're not in and want to be in?
What thing in life? Confused right now, actually.
Give us an example of what's going on when you're aware you're not in and want to be in.
When I don't know, for example, when I make music and I'm just about to publish my music, when I don't know how it's gonna work out, or when I think most of the time I know it's gonna work out if I feel good about it, but then I doubt.
So what's happening in the moment that makes you doubt it? Are you by yourself? Are you with someone else? What phase of the process are you in? Are you creating it? Are you presenting it?
I'm finishing it up and I give it to people who are pretty high in the business, and I want it to work out because that's...
And your thought about them is? They might like it, they might not. They might take it, they might not. So the troublesome thought, the out of the vortex thought is...
If it's good enough to...
Is this good enough? I don't know that this is good enough.
Yeah.
So in that moment, good question to ask is, I wonder what my inner being feels about this, which is clearly different than what I'm feeling about this. In other words, I'm thinking the fact that I have negative emotion means that I'm going someplace my inner being is not going. So what are some interesting, fun, catalytic things that you might say? Well, if they don't like it, there's something wrong with them. If they don't like it, they're not on my vibrational wavelength. If they don't like it, they don't know where the movement's going. If they don't like it, then they don't know what people in this business are looking for. If they don't like it, then they're not ready for that which I am. If they don't like it, then there's someone who will like it that's waiting for me. If they don't, can you feel how that brings you into alignment?
I think I know now what it is. I always think like maybe it's my mistake. Maybe I haven't been in the vortex enough while I did the music, or maybe I haven't been in the vortex while I made the phone calls or the meetings or everything.
So this is an interesting conversation, because what you're saying is, in the moment that I'm not in the vortex, I'm worried that I haven't been in the vortex. and we're saying, so take control of it, and just by doing it and by feeling it. So which feels good? They probably won't like it, or of course they'll like it.
Yeah.
Which feels better? What if they don't like it, or I have so much more in me. I don't have to hit it the first crack out of the box every single time. This has been a process of evolution, and it will never cease to be. The process of creation was what I was in it for anyway, and I was thrilled at the process of creation. And you can't feel this good creating something without bringing somebody else along. And my future does not hang in the balance of this one decision. There's so many more things that are going on for me than what happens right here and right now. And this will be fun in any event. At most, it will be a learning experience. At most, I'll get a sense of where they're at. What we want you to do, and you're really at the place that you can do this, what we want you to do when you are in one of those situations where you are presenting your genius to someone else, we want you to don the stance of the one who is doing the interview, not the one who is being interviewed. In other words, you've created something which they may or may not be up to speed with. And in this meeting, you're going to find out whether they are qualified or whether they are not qualified to be the presenter of what you have created. Feel the power of that?
Yeah,
in other words, they might be ready and they might not be ready. But somebody in your vortex is ready, you see. So you don't get attached to the outcome of this, because there's so much more that is still coming. And in that ownership of that, in other words, that's the way you proclaim to the universe, I have created this and I am a creator. And bring it on. Bring the cooperative components to me. And as you practice that stance, what you're going to discover is those executives don't understand anything in any of that anyway. In other words, they're totally gut-oriented. They're looking for confidence. They're looking for stability. They're looking for someone who knows what they're doing. And when you're in there knowing what you're doing, they're going to know that you know what you're doing, and they're going to say, yeah, that's good. Really.
I like that.
Because if you ask any publisher of any book or any music or anything, if you were to go into them and you were to say to them, please tell me what the market is looking for right now and I will create it, 100% of them would say, well, son, if I had the answer to that question, I would have 1 billion gold records. That's what they would say. Because every one of them, not one of them really knows. Nobody can contemplate what the market is. Nobody knows that. All of them would tell you it's just a crapshoot. For all of them, they don't know. They don't know what they're producing. They don't know that what you do, if they sign you, is going to make it or not. They don't know that, you see. Nobody knows. Except the vortex knows, and you know. In other words, so as you get in there and you know it, then they'll know what you know, and then off you all go.
I have one more question, if that's fine. Somebody actually at the LA workshop asked that, and you didn't, I think the time was out, and you didn't answer it. It's about freedom, and it's a specific example. I'm on a student visa. What that means is I'm allowed to be in the country studying on permission for a certain amount of time. And I was wondering, because I don't know how to phrase that question. In such a case, how do you know the way to what I want to get, of course, because since I came to the United States, like, I see this is where I grew the most, because I feel like this country is like leading edge to the point. Like, it's so leading edge. Where I'm from Germany, in Germany I grew too, but then I made the transition here, which pretty much was probably a really good feeling, and I grew so much, and I know this is the place where I can totally express myself. So my want is, which I think is also in my vortex, is to stay here, work here, and be basically happy here. And I think the way to it is basically just feel free, feel that I already have it, and just be happy. And
Precisely, because what you're saying, what you just said in your beautiful and perfectly accurate description here. This is what you just said in other words. I'm so often in the vortex, and I can feel the alignment that is necessary for me to have all of these things that I want. But I can't yet see the precise path.
Yeah.
And in my inability to see it, sometimes I worry, but I can feel it. And we say, we've been talking about this all day. The vortex, because it hasn't manifested yet, is not a place where you can see. It is a place where you can feel. So if it will be enough for you to feel the confidence and feel the certainty and trust the vortex's ability to arrange the circumstances and events, and to trust that the circumstances and events are already being lined up and they will be revealed to you in the timing of your ability to see them, and that the creative work that you're doing and the path you're on is the right path, and that it will all unfold just right, then you're in the right place.
Is there a process to do that in the opposite of, because kind of threatening and because there's deadlines and all that stuff, where they say, oh, you have to go, and is there a process to get that faith through a process, or?
When you're faced with a deadline, it's hard not to be activated in that resistant place. So you just have to try to dissolve the deadline as you can. And when is the deadline? Good, you don't know.
6 months.
Well, that's plenty of time. In other words, 6 months is a long time. 6 months, you could be in the vortex in and out 1,000,000 times in 6 months. In other words, 6 months is plenty of time for you for the vortex to work out the circumstances and events for you to get what you're wanting. Plenty of time. So that's the way we would approach it. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Thank you so much.
Plenty of time. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. We want to say to you that the collective power of that which you are is acknowledged by that which is us. And the appreciation that we feel for your not just participating with us here, but for your participating in this physical experience altogether. Your willingness to come into an environment where contrast abounds and the possibility of losing your connection to Source is a very real possibility. Your willingness to come and sift and sort and come to personal conclusions, and then, bless your hearts, to be willing to consciously align with what you've put into your vortex. What that means to the world that surrounds you is that you are living, breathing examples of those who understand what true creative power is. And it is fun for us to acknowledge the ahas as they happen with you. But it is even more fun for us to dwell in your vibrational reality, to dwell in your virtual reality, acknowledging what you've put there, and stand in anticipation of your joining us in that conscious knowing as well. It's a fun trip for all of us. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain eternally in the vortex.